welcome to Youthology Live. Thank you for joining us for another discussion on youth leadership. Listen, the work we do as youth leaders this week is elementary to the fabric of this nation. There's a reason why Forbes Magazine found the job of youth pastor to be the most meaningful job in the U.S. Yes, I didn't make that up. That was Forbes Magazine, and I'll be posting that on all our platforms so you can find that resource and read it yourself. Youth ministry, the most meaningful job in America. That's right. Listen, right along with orthopedic surgeons. Yeah, we were tied for number one most meaningful jobs in America with orthopedic surgeons. And you know, there's one obvious similarity between youth pastors and orthopedic surgeons. I'm not talking about the salary, right? Orthopedic surgeons work directly with the body and its structure and its function and its health. And if you'll allow me to make the jump, that's what youth leaders do also. We make sure the body of Christ is functioning, that the structure is healthy, at its most effective peak performance. So, yeah, a little twist and turn on the research there, right? But listen, looking at the condition of our nation, it is obvious proof of the need for spiritual leadership at the Gen Z and the Alpha Gen, the next generation coming up behind Gen Z, and the youth ministry setting. We call young people today next gen. Some people call it now gen, right? But in order for the next gen to function spiritually at a high level, we need healthy youth ministry. That's right. That's what this podcast is about today. Have you seen the research and findings of youth in America lately? The statistics are stunning. And we've talked about those. We've posted those often in our blogs and at our YouTube where you can see all of our resources. But think about these new statistics. Aside from the multiple family issues, 31% rise in child obesity, a loss of biblical worldview amongst Gen Zers. And who knows what that's going to look like in the most recent findings coming out on Alpha Gen. Listen, we've seen learning loss in public education, increased gun violence against children. Suicide has risen among teenagers dramatically after dropping the last 5 years. Adolescence in mental health facilities is rising out of control. And then the social isolation. It's almost like we have forgotten about next gen. Think about that. You've seen the articles, all the news covering that. And so isn't it interesting to see such a great resource from Forbes Magazine on the importance and the meaningfulness of youth ministry? Listen, even given all these stats, it is evident that there's a generational set in the church defying the statistics of their generation. I see it across this nation every week. We cannot lose this growing influence, America's greatest resource. All over this nation, teenagers in youth ministries are not defiling themselves with the world's delicacies. Let me say it like this. Daniel chapter 1. Maybe you know the story of Daniel and his three friends. The most compelling story of the impact that one young person can have on a nation when they're completely set apart for God. You know the story. Daniel and his three friends, pressured into and threatened into leaving their faith, at risk of life, leaving their faith, publicly threatened. And these young men, they didn't give in. They were different. Time and time again, throughout the book of Daniel, we see Daniel and his three friends remain faithful to God under the pressures of society. And what happened? They transformed the kingdom. Transformed the kingdom through their commitment and their faith. And we need right now immediate, focused, spiritual, educational, and political action on the family for the youth of America. We need it immediately. We need to raise up young Daniels and Danielles who are changing society. And to do that, we need healthy youth leadership in America. Listen, here are 4 reasons why I believe that youth ministry is the most meaningful job in America and will continue to be. Okay? Number one, 4 simple reasons on the value of youth ministry. Number 1, it is much easier and cheaper to build children than to fix adults. That's what civil rights activist Frederick Douglass said about the next generation. It's much easier and cheaper to build healthy children than to fix adults in the system. This is why it is so important as a youth leader to reach the younger generation. Spiritual formation amongst the adolescent generation is one of the fastest ways to transform society. Listen, children aren't born racist. They're not born with a poverty mindset. They're raised that way. All right, number 2. There is an immediate return on investment in next gen ministry. Man, have I seen that, right? It doesn't take much time to see the fruit of your labor in youth ministry. It's almost immediate. The impact of spiritual formation is almost immediately seen in the life of a teenager. That moment when their eyes are open and they find their identity, when their eyes are open and they feel connected to other people in a community, when the faith, that hole in the soul, when the faith comes alive in a teenager, we see that immediate return on the investment in the ministry. Number 3, reason why youth ministry is so important, because the youth ministry context is charged with creativity and excitement. That's right. The school campus, sporting events, recreation, social media, the movie and music industry make the youth ministry or next gen setting attractive and dynamic. I don't see the industrial or the technological revolution as a hindrance to ministry. Now listen, social media isn't the problem. Social media revealed the problem in each one of us. Listen, I see the technological advances that we've made as a tool for healthy ministry, and youth ministry is caught in this viral creative setting. All right, number 4, the adolescents still very much are living in a formative moment in their life. Just because students are showing at-risk behavior or being raised in a dysfunctional home doesn't mean that they're out of reach. Listen, no one is out of reach. Maybe you saw it this week. A very popular entertainer said that she could not be reached, unreached. No way, that she's too far gone and that religion would never be able to reach her. I don't believe that. I believe in the powerful working grace of God to reach teenagers right now in whatever the situation they're in. Given the disintegration and the breakdown of the family, given all of these statistics, youth ministry has the great opportunity to help close the gap between teenagers and society right now. And we can do that because they're in such a formative state as mentors. We can walk into their setting. Listen, I just read a statistic by Barna about a year ago that said youth pastors and pastors are not even in the top 10 of people our teenagers seek for help or advice. That's right. Clergy didn't even make the top 10. Teachers, coaches, police officers, family members, school counselors, etc., all ranked in front of ministers. That's got to change. This makes the moment, this important moment that we are in, a moment for us to rise as mentors and influencers and examples to Gen Z and Alpha Gen that is coming up. As youth leaders, we are in the perfect setting as an authoritative influence in the life of a teenager. Perfect opportunity, the perfect timing for us to step in and shape the life of next gen. So that's why I believe that youth ministry is the most meaningful job in America. Listen, being a youth pastor may not be the most thankful job in America. It may not be the easiest job in America, and it definitely isn't the highest paying job in America. But it is, by research, the most meaningful, and I believe the most necessary. Listen, given the research, this moment that we are in, and personally, can I say, having the experience of almost 40 years in youth ministry, the facts are pretty clear. Being a youth leader in our nation is the most meaningful job in America and the most needed job in America right now. Listen, I believe that maybe the most important job in America is youth leaders. Raising up next gen, building the best resource we have to put society back together again, because healthy youth ministry raises healthy students who then transform society. All right, listen, thank you for joining us this week. Join us next week for another topic on youth leadership.